somebody at the special meeting, or is it just interviews?
Just interviews.
What, for what?
County coordinator position.
Oh. Was there a bunch of apps?
Two?
Yeah,
You
there
did two
was a-
rounds of interviews?
Yeah, there was quite a few apps, so
Oh,
I guess. I think,
Yeah, there was a lot of applications.
Yeah.
We interviewed 5 in the first round and then 2 in the second round.
but no decisions made yet.
Well, it's 9 o'clock, we call the meeting to order, stand to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've just got one other thing for the agenda. Does anybody else have anything else for the agenda? We have a resignation letter that we should accept. Okay.
What are we adding to it?
We're gonna set a special meeting on Friday for decide on a coordinator. So what time, does it matter what time for everybody or? Morning, afternoon?
Early. 9?
Okay. We'll set that for 9 o'clock on Friday. You got that, Chad?
Yeah.
Okay,
With those 2 additions, I will entertain a motion to
second.
set the agenda.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Meeting minutes were sent out. Motion approved.
second,
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the warrants were sent out. Mr. Chair, before we move on to that, we should let everybody know, just so they know the meeting's being recorded. And we did not get the last meeting recorded, so that's why it will not, the special meeting on Friday. Okay, it will not show up because it wasn't recorded. Yeah, we were having trouble with the.
Everything,
Yeah.
the audio, the recording, the.
And then on the warrants, I see we issued Boise to Sioux that they did vote to accept. Or did they not have to vote to accept that?
I don't think they had to.
They didn't have, okay.
My knowledge. we did.
Well, they get the money, so there's no.
Got the money.
And Aaron did run around with Troy Frigid and looked at the ditches and looked what he had done, some of the legwork and things like that. And moving forward, trees and spraying and maintenance, things like that, so.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second, any more discussion on any of the bills? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I would say that, with regret, I will make a motion to accept Tina Lindquist's letter of resignation.
I'll second that with regrets.
Motion and a second to accept Tina's, resignation letter. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried.
Looking at what's gonna be talked about at 9:15, I did wanna give a quick committee update, if that's okay.
Yep.
In the fourth quarter, CPT will be doing a return of investment of $45,000. So it's not, we're still being paid back our initial investment, so that's why the phrasing is the way it is, so. That should be coming in the fourth quarter.
what is the percentage of that? Payback, that 45,000,
I don't know what the percentage is, so originally the purchase price was 175,000. We had received back 75,000, I believe. So 45 makes it, our actual purchase price is now down to 55,000 plus whatever interest. So we're, of the initial 175, I believe we're back, we're only, at this point, we're out to 55,000, everything else at the end of this year would be back.
perfect. Good news,
So how many are in that?
it was worth doing.
There's 24 counties, I think. I think it was 23 originally, and then Polk bought in afterwards, I think it's 24. Got our owners, there's, you know, they service 27 or 28, and then like 6 or 8 out in North Dakota.
Sure, I have a community, report if you.
Okay.
have time.
Go ahead.
I was to a West Central juvenile detention meeting last week and things are going pretty good up there. They did up the daily rate from 350 to 375. And then they had they kind of had a chart there on what our usage to the last, from July 22 through June of 24. And we had 244 juvenile detention days there over a year and a half period there. So I did talk to the sheriff about it a little bit. He said, yeah, they were busy there some of those months. And earlier this year, I see they were busy too, because they had days of February, they had 20 days, in March, they had 31, April, they had 22. And it just depends on who's doing what, things like that, as far as the usage there. So they projected that probably this year that our what we owe them probably will go up like $4,000 based on some of these figures. So up to, and then they had an actual cost for 25 would be around 38,000. I think they said it was up 4,000 last year.
So last year was like
34. So although it's not on here, what it was last year, but that's how it goes with jailing, you know, well, not jailing, but detention centers and jails, you never know, you know, it just depends on what's going on. Maybe it'll be a good year.
So there's a set fee plus.
Yeah.
When they.
Yeah.
Which is a good deal as long as they take our individuals when we have them.
Yep, and they absolutely say that if you're a member there, they're taken, so.
So they say that, but they have a history of not
Oh, yeah.
doing that.
Well, not for the last couple of years, but yeah, they have a history of, remember?
Oh, I remember,
Yeah.
because yeah, it was not, they would not take our individuals so that we had nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
But as soon as they went to Clay County and sold a car, miraculously they had room.
Right. Yeah, I know, so, but, I hope we don't see that again, we'll keep an eye on that, so. But we gotta have a place to put them when the need arises, that's for
So
sure.
are they booked up most of the time, or they got a few?
They're busy, they didn't really say if they were full, but they're doing some things there, they wanna move, shelter care away from the detention center and get it into a different building because, you know, they don't want them mixing in with
It's not appropriate to
No.
have non-detention in the detention.
Yeah, so they're looking at building it. Well, I think they're gonna do it, they're gonna build a building away from there for the non-security. So. Anyway, that's my, and I told the sheriff about this yesterday, so. You'll have to just figure it out. In his budget, so.
Anything else on that?
No, that's it.
Anybody else have any committee reports?
We did see that we're advertising to hire emergency manager.
You hear the pins drop.
Well, I got a note from Ken, I think, that they're gonna reestablish the courthouse, security,
The court, yes, we-
just
Thank you.
reestablish, you guys won't have to do anything with that, just the notification that the committee's getting reestablished because there's some grant opportunities. So it'll be Judge Dahl, Middle Valley, Lloyd Johnson, John Combs, Rachel Schmidt from Court Admin, Ashley from HR, Justin, and Jen from Kenny Vipon. I don't know who came up with the list. It was just-
we asked Jen by.
I would,
Yes.
I would probably make a suggestion, being since the courthouse security, that you maybe include facilities management in this.
It was to begin with.
Oh, he's not on the list.
I would say, yeah, put it on there.
Pardon, buildings.
Yeah. I think he met with us, he was sitting in. the meetings. Way back when Troy was the sheriff and we actively engaged back then. think
I
he
can't
was-
say he wasn't, I don't remember.
think he would. That's okay. It's good that we do that. Absolutely.
Oh, we're a couple minutes early, but Holly and Carl, you can come up.
We're gonna drag Greg with too if he needs to be.
Oh, maybe just be moral support from the back here.
So this morning, we're here to talk about the ISC contract that we currently hold. Currently, that data is securing our homestead files and quite a few of our files in our office. It's doing some.
We have all of our marriage records on the backup as well, along with environmental services.
All of my, everyone.
all of our records. So this server was safe during the computer event. Basically, all the information that was located on this server, we got 100% of it back. So we didn't lose anything when the computer event happened. The reason that none of the data was lost is because it's considered an immutable drive. Basically, what happens is once it gets saved onto this server, typically it's like a date and time, either 30 days, 60 days, 90 days has to occur before a change can happen within the server. So it doesn't matter what happens until that item happens. That's when it'll delete the information. So with the computer event, all of that stuff came back because once we found out about it, we were within the 60 days to get all our data back. So it is a substantial increase over what it's been in the past. In the past, we did have an 8 terabyte drive that what we have been using currently. But again, it's just housing our 3 offices information. This contract does sunset here at the end of 2024, and they're no longer servicing the server. So ISC reached out to us and said, what are your plans on doing or to do? They gave us a quote in April, and that was right around $90,000 to replace. And basically what it would be is it would be a backup for the entire county. So all the county servers would be backed up to this immutable drive as well. So it's a way for security, and it's something that Sean and has strongly recommended that we do. So the costs that we're looking at is $131,854. The contract for this was locked into place as of August 1st. We had reached out to Ken because we've had some department head meetings about this prior, that they're willing to lock in the price for January of 2025. Without us locking it in as of August 1st, it probably would have been another $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000. The price of these things is jumping all over the place. So basically we needed to just get it in writing. We did sign into our contract that the agreement that we signed was contingent upon the full county board approval of today's meeting.
We also had Justin look at the agreement before we signed anything.
So our request is that we would be able to go forward with this new immutable drive that will also serve to back up the entire county. So
How long does this contract, is it an every year deal or how long does it last?
The last one we purchased was in 2018.
Okay.
So,
So 6 years we got our light, yeah.
So and this will be one of those items that we'll be able to take $25,000 out of unallocated.
mhm.
And then the other portion, we were gonna work with Chad and make it so that since it's a backup for the entire county, that each user will be charged a user fee. And we'll figure that out with Chad for budgeting for 2025. It sounds like if we have some other money coming in from,
Yeah.
it could help offset
Right.
a little bit.
Cause it gets hard if you don't want to budget that 45 in revenue because then it goes away after next year. So, right.
So this will allow us to start budgeting and putting away for a server in the future. In the past, these were $25,000-$30,000, not $130,000.
Right.
I can't imagine it's not only gonna get worse.
Right.
Right. And with this being a backup for the entire county, if the computer event were to occur again, we would hope that we would get 100% of our information back.
And it'd be cheap.
How long do you gotta retain them? Up to what? 7 years? Total, or forever? I mean,
The data,
yes. Is there, does it
There,
sunset?
there typically is a sunset date for the saved data that you
Right.
have on
That's what I'm driving. at.
Yep.
What's that, 7 years or something?
we'd have to check
What's
into
like
that.
IRS taxes or anything like that?
I don't-
It's just.
there. It'd be no different than our current servers.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion to go with, is it ISC
Correct.
for the amount of how much?
131,854.
I'll make that motion that we do that.
We have a motion, we get a second.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
So is that getting our data and everything transferred over, or is that it's showing up at the door going, here you go? Or is it a remote server?
Here is the.
So there'll be an annual support of $13,750 per year. For them to install it is that $4,126. So then the remote outside business hours, that's $15.47. From when Holly and I were talking to him on the phone, the annual enterprise support, that's unnegotiable. That's a certain percentage of the overall cost of the server. So we were able to change the price on a few different items when we contacted them. But there's just a few things that we could not change.
So the terms and conditions are valid until 8/1. Are we not exhausting that time frame?
No, they already signed it there.
We've
we
already
signed
signed
it.
it with contingent upon the full board approval.
Okay.
With Ken's approval of signing
We gotta read the fine print.
it. And that's where we read the fine print as well and knew that the county board is meeting after that time period, so that's when we reached out to Ken and Justin.
Was there any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
All right,
can I start? Or we have to wait?
yep, go ahead.
All right, so I am here to talk about potentially going out for bid for a pay study, a full pay study. We're finding that there are some discrepancies, and Baker Tilly has confirmed that there are some discrepancies between the safe points, which how they determine where a position is being graded on our grade scale. And so the discrepancy between the safe points that we have on file with reflecting on the job descriptions when we did the market study. So we did the market study in 2022. And so we think it'd be best to do a full pay study to try to get everything accurate again and up to or within the market. So I'm here today to ask to go out for bid. So at this point, we just go out for bid to see who would give us a quote for a pay study, and then I'd come back, of course, with those bids for you to determine if we want to move forward with that, and then who would we want to go with.
So you don't really know who will be bidding on it, right?
No, I'm assuming Baker Tilly will, just because that's who we're with, but it could be anybody that does this type of work. And so that would be a recommendation from the personnel committee.
I will make a motion to request bids for pay study.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I got. Are you guys next? Eric, are you next?
9:35, but.
Okay, I'm gonna. Do that right.
You got something, Libby?
Yeah, he's with us.
That's scary, right? We really brought the phone show in today. Yeah.
We got the muscle by the door. You're not leaving yet.
We want everybody here.
I just have one.
I don't want. Pay grade, we're gonna month now.
I made the motion.
That's just for the,
That's for that.
yeah, so I pick that up.
Yeah. It's fine, we'll just do the paper. No big deal.
Well, they can't see the presentation anyway. There's still people on there,
Yeah, I don't matter.
but you still, the people are still connected, you see?
You still see.
It was still running.
Zoom is still on.
So it's still.
That's just, so they will.
Yeah, that's the speaker and the camera.
Yeah.
Ask somebody takes.
Can anybody hear online?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Perfect. Just getting some IT stuff taken care of.
At least it's late in here.
That's Aaron.
Yes.
Darren, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm trying to hook up a PowerPoint on a zip drive.
To what computer?
The main one in the meeting room.
Okay.
I'm glad you're on.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get to it quick.
Sorry, unplug.
So is this the computer that you're trying to use? No, that's the smartboard one. Your microphone quit working.
Can you still hear me?
Now I can. I switched the mic.
Okay.
All right. So do you have a USB drive plugged into the back of it? I don't see it.
It's plugged into the computer.
Which is on the back of the monitor or underneath the monitor?
It's just in its own, the actual like, what do you call this thing? The box, the box. Unless I can put it, can I plug it into the back of the TV?
Well, I thought the computer was on the back of the TV. It's just a small one.
Okay, well, I can plug it in there.
Okay, try that. Sounds like it's
Okay, here we go.
That guy's.
I don't know what happened.
People say they're too busy for the ambulance, just ask, what about my hours?
Are you still on, Darren?
Yeah, it's still not seeing it though. I thought I heard it ding, but
Yeah, there's what, 5 kids, resort, fire department, school, where. A business to take care of. It doesn't sleep.
did you find the Lenovo computer that is running the TV?
Yeah, so I read about that. It was more important. We need that. Puff them up a little bit.
Darren, are you still here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can, but I just like totally shut off. The computer shut off when I plugged it in to the back of it.
Oh, well, I'm connected to the computer, so it can't be shut off.
Or well, it went black.
Oh,
So do
We're
you,
watching Prime over.
it so far does not see that you plugged it into it, to the USB drive itself, or the computer.
yeah,
So it, the computer is a little box like 6 inches square by 2 inches thick. Or is it? Yeah, I think that's still there.
Think center box.
Yeah, yep.
So
And you
I'll
put-
plug it in again.
Okay,
That's
now
good.
it sees it. Now it's plugged in.
And it's the Grant County EMS aid package. There we go. So then when we're done, we just plug the owl back in then?
Is there not an extra port for the owl?
No.
Okay, then you'll have to use that. There might be some on the back if you really needed the owl camera, but
Well, there is one on the back of the TV, but when I just did that with the zip drive is there one back there?
no, on the back of the Lenovo.
Okay, yeah, I think Chad found it. Okay. I think should be back, running.
All should be on now, Darren.
Okay,
Perfect.
yep, that's working.
Okay.
Cannot minimize when you're recording this meeting. All right. So there's your slides.
We can, yep, start it.
Go ahead. I will stop running the mouse and disconnect from that.
Okay. Darren, how do I get it to go so you can just click through it?
Let me reconnect.
Right up at the top corner, there's a little play button, the
Oh.
top 5. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So then,
Someone had it on the quick launch. There you go. And then you should be able to click anywhere to go to the next slide.
thanks, Darren.
Yep.
Okay, Eric, wait, go ahead. Okay.
So Eric Risberg's gonna give us a little presentation here on EMS problems in Grant County and basically in all rural counties in Minnesota. Grant County has a EMS committee and it consists of 2 county commissioners, representatives from Ashby Ambulance, Lake Region Ambulance, and Hoffman Ambulance. So we have 3 ambulance services in Grant County. And all of them were projected. We know we're gonna have some problems here in the future with personnel and equipment purchases. So we've been meeting regularly for the last couple months. And so we met last week and we went through this presentation that Eric put together. And so we wanted him to do that in front of the full board and the public and the news people. So you go ahead, Eric, and then we'll talk a little bit more when you're done.
Okay. So you guys wanna say something first or not? Okay, yeah, so this is Scott with Herman Fire. We just brought a few people from the community as well as our local fire departments and EMS, just so you guys know that it's not just me that is supporting EMS. Our partners in EMS are here to say a few words. So Scott with Herman.
I guess I just, most of you know me, you've been on the fire department, law enforcement, been around. In Herman, we're 20 miles from an ambulance, from a hospital, and the services are vital. When the bell rings, we're there alone for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, with very limited services that we can do. When these guys show up, they have capes on in our mind. They're miracle workers. They save the day. There's a lot of times I get sick of us on the radio. Where are you? Because things are getting bad in a hurry and we don't have the services to help. They're vital. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it in our area. People don't understand it until they need it. When they call 911,
because they don't know what else to do. There's 120, 130 people in a 6,000 county supporting that, right? When the bell rings, it's 130 people out of 6,000 taking care of that need. I can't stress enough, you guys already know it, but the public needs to hear it and needs to understand it. We need to, whether it's pay scale, whether we need to do, not one of our fire departments, unless you guys have it in Nashpee, Elbow, Wendell, everywhere else. We don't have anybody in line. We're short one. There's not applications laying on the desk that we're denying. There's no applications. We need to do something to help support these guys and to recruit people. And if that takes dollars or what that takes, the equipment they need is vital. The rigs they're driving is vital. They have to be, we can't break down on the side of the road. Maya said it to me when it gets in here, that this is one of the first times we got to visit. I see their faces a lot, but it's in emergency situations and it's, how you doing? Thanks for coming. We'll see you later. We don't get to have that chat. The addition of 282, the first response rate has saved lives in Herman by getting there and putting the clot blocker for stroke, or just coming and pushing meds for us. That unit alone has saved lives in Herman, and I know it has across our county. So I just wanted to come to show support because I don't know how else to do it, but to voice my opinion to the public. And I wish more people would pay attention to that, because they don't until they need it. Until they call 911, they don't understand what these guys do and sacrifice, leaving their family at Christmas dinner to go help somebody else's. There is no volunteers left. There's too much selfishness and not enough selflessness in our society these days. So I just wanted to come support these guys, I guess, and you guys all need to know that.
Thank you, Scott. Just a couple more, Chad Biss over in Wendell is, the chief over there. He'd like to say something as well.
I concur with what he said. I mean, we're 25 minutes, 30 from Lake Reed or from Ringgold. And we've had a couple calls where we've had to wait for them, and there's a little bit more fear of how severe that call is gonna be. It's a little overwhelming where we are out in the middle of nowhere, and response time is just huge. I mean, if we don't have that, are we gonna look to law to supplement that? I mean, I realize it's a dollars thing, always comes down to money, but it's like, we've got an aging population. We have a high risk population because of agriculture, and we just kind of have to be prepared. The 282 thing, we had a burn victim last year, July, 7. I don't know that the guy survives with all the 282 showing up, getting the airway in, and I mean, there's a lot of things that went right that day, but just the experience and the speed that it happened and just how it all came about. I mean, there's a lot of those examples out there. It takes all of us, and without that middle cog in there, kind of transfer off from us to them to getting them to where they need to be. I just see a detriment, and I don't know where the liability comes. It's recruiting is going to be a nightmare too if it comes down to us, and we aren't getting paramedics and EMTs on the fire departments. You know, I mean, we do, like Carrie, we've made her join Wendell, but you know, I mean, we're not getting guys to go, hey, I want to be an EMT now that I'm a first responder and firefighter. That just isn't happening out here. As you can look around the room and see us, none of us are getting younger either. There's a lot of gray in the room with the first responders and the EMTs, so the replacement's harder and harder all the time. I'm here to fully support what is needed in Grant County.
Thank you, Chad and Wendell Fire. We truly admire the work that you guys do as well. One more, Mike Ulrich, he wears a ton of hats as we were talking before, so he has a good idea of what it takes. Like to say a few things.
Yeah, I guess one thing I thought of as, everybody knows the number for 911, right? But nobody ever thinks about who's on the other end. And I think that's what our dilemma is now, is who's on the other end is dwindling. Where the population that is working the other end of 911, people, they just expect when they call 911, somebody's gonna answer and somebody's gonna come and help them. And it's a struggle to maintain that. And as we talked about the age in the room and all those things, you know, there's a gap between where our volunteers are at now and what's coming next. And if we don't do something creative to figure out that gap, we're gonna have a void, you know, and it's coming. And so I think that's, you know, one of the biggest things that we've talked for years that, you know, like Chad said, it's 25 minutes to get Ringgold to come, or it's 25 minutes to get Stevens County, or it's 25 minutes, you know. Well, we were on a call one night and Ringgold had to call Ashby to back them up, you know, so it's working. The big towns that we think are gonna back us up and we're gonna wait 25 minutes for, they're waiting for us to backfill them already, and those are paid services, we're volunteers. And so that really opens your eyes to say, there's an issue with EMS that we gotta figure out a creative answer for, and I think that, you know, in our local area, we wanna be creative and we wanna fill that gap. We don't wanna be the ones with the gap. We wanna fill that gap and be the leader that says, this is how you can do it, because otherwise it's our citizens that pay that price, and nobody thinks about it until they call 911 and nobody answers, you know, and that's what part we don't want, so.
Thank you, Lana, for your dedication and support as well. I'd like to say thanks to these guys. These guys are my mentors. I grew up with them. One happens to be my father and my neighbor. I think Gene babysat me or overlooked me for many years as well, as a father figure. Ashby has been, in my opinion, one of the most innovative ambulance services in the country as a volunteer level. It's because of what these guys have done for years and years and years. This is why we come with the ideas that we have over the last 20 years to try to change it, is because of what they've done. People continue to call and ask, why is Ashby doing such a good job? It's because we've always been willing to change and look at different avenues of how to bring new people involved, getting schools involved and things like that. So many years here, 42, same age as I am, my dad. What are you at, 50? 49, 30, 34. That's a lot of years of supplementing Grant County. And they'll do it for nothing. They don't expect anything. They wake up every night that somebody calls and go on it. But obviously at some point it's not gonna be there anymore. And the 30-some-year-olds are helpful, but not as good as these guys. And nothing against the younger crowd, but they haven't got to that point of life where they're gonna start volunteering. It's just, there's gonna be a huge gap. So Dwight kind of highlighted some of my presentation already. So the committee was formed because of some previous talk that we had with you guys. And our commissioners were so nice to join another committee and talk about EMS and understand the importance of it. So we had to come up with key problems that we have, and it's always staffing. Staffing is number one problem. You can do anything with $1 million, but if you don't have the staffing, you cannot run the trucks. You cannot do anything. So we came up with staffing issues were number one and revenue was number two. So then we sat around and tried to figure out how are we gonna make those problems go away. I gotta go back. Well, it doesn't matter. So we had some of our government representatives come. We had Jeff Backer and Jordan Rasmussen come, because we thought there's a little bit of state aid money coming. We're kind of trying to figure out how much of that is going to continue to come, which we kind of thought that it was going to be there. Sadly mistaken. They basically told us this is not a state problem. This is a county and municipality issue, and they're not going to really help out in years to come. It was kind of shocking to us, but they just said the money's not there. The large cities are doing fine. They're profitable, but all these small ambulance services out in rural are losing money and are unable to attract new and young people to their services. Just for comparison, just to talk a little bit about money, because everything's about money. We all believe that these entities should be fully funded. We feel we're missing a little line down there saying EMS. So here's some numbers just so everybody is aware. County fair is 25,000. This is all levy amounts. Historical Society 32. Viking Library 77, HRA 100,000, commissioner cost is 266,000. The highway department is 1.6 million and Grant County Sheriff's is 1.5 million. All needed to be funded to sustain, where we understand that, but there's just that empty line where we feel EMS should be involved. The flip side, EMS has kind of always been on an island by itself. We're not ever looked at as like a healthcare department. We're not part of the fire department other than Ashby runs it together. And we're not part of law enforcement. So we're always kind of over here and nobody really takes care of us. We're supposed to take care of ourselves and we're failing miserably because of insurance premiums are not helping us out and all the other problems that we have. So Ashby Fire, I know their budget because my father was nice enough to give it to me. So AFD's budget for 2024, their state aid, wow, they get state aid, the fire departments get state aid. Okay, that's news to us that they're not gonna come with EMS. So it's 20,000 for Ashby's state aid. Their operational budget is 22,000 and they have a truck fund. $30,000 goes into that and it's gonna be raised $1,000 every year until it reaches 40,000. So there's total state aid or total aid package is 72,000. And that's all off of state aid or tax levies from their townships and their city. So you can see fire departments are pretty much solely ran off of aid of some sort. They do get a little bit of funding from their billables, but it doesn't amount to a whole lot. So the group of us kind of sat down and figured out we have to do something. Nobody really knows the right number or the correct number. We kind of threw around some things. So I just kind of came up with a start. And we need to look at the two big problems, and that's our large capital purchases like an ambulance, because those ambulances are becoming more and more expensive and costs to run the services are increasing. So all this data is based off of a $400,000 ambulance, which is about in between. So in the middle, Ashby's was over 400,000. Ours was a little bit lower because we bought a cheaper model because that's all we could afford. So Ashby's truck after 15 years, Hoffman truck after 15 years, that's when we want to get a new ambulance due to safety issues and miles and wear and tear. Lake Region does a lot more transfers to get our community members from a small facility to a larger facility to get the care that they needed. So we put on a ton of miles. So ours would be a 10-year cycle. So you take the 400,000 divided by 15 or 10, and you come up with the year-to-year data. So it's 26, 26, 40, and then we put a 4% increase for inflation, which inflation in the last 3 years has been about 50 to 60%. We're just going to go off of 4% because that's kind of a roundabout number. And as you can see, every year it increases by that 4%. Up to and through to your 15 years for Ashby and Hoffman, and the grand total would be 534,000, which we know it's probably not going to be enough to buy an ambulance at 15 years. We think those numbers are a little low, but at least it's a start. Some of our money that we make off of our runs can be utilized to help pay off the rest of the services, the rest of the cost of those, but at least it's a start to get us to where we need to be. The grand total for Elbow Lake would be about 480,000 after 10 years. The reason we need some of this funding is right now we are able to operate with the amount of money that we take in. But of course, costs are getting through the roof. A new monitor, all of our monitors, cardiac monitors, were purchased through a grant from Leona Helmsley grant. Right now, they just came out with a new LifePak 35. Soon, those LifePak 15s that we all carry are going to be unserviceable. They're going to take them off the market. They do that, so you have to purchase new ones because that's how they make a bunch of money. So those are sitting at about 60,000 right now, 50 to 60,000. It's only going to go up. Cots are 40,000. Expenses, supplies are just going through the roof. So we need to utilize that funding that we make off of those calls in different areas. We're potentially gonna have to utilize them to pay staff more or do a blended version of part-time and full-time employees to run these ambulance services. If they fail, we will likely have to have a vendor come in, another ambulance service, a large ambulance service, come in and take over our area. And if we want an ambulance in Grand County, they're gonna say, we want you to subsidize the whole thing, and that's gonna be millions of dollars. Right now, to keep EMS operating at a low cost, we have to continue to do it as a volunteer base. That's the only way we wanna do it, but we have to do a few things to keep our volunteers in the business. So we came up with a sustainable aid package for a pension plan, just like the fire departments do. Every fire department in the state gets a pension plan. No EMS service in the state gets a pension plan. They get a little bit of this Cooper Sam Award, which doesn't amount to much. So the number that we came up with was $1,500 per year for each member in that qualifies in Ashby, Herman or Hoffman and Elbow Lake. So right now we picked the number, it's about 45 members throughout all of them that would qualify. And that would be 67.5. Okay. But this isn't just anybody that thinks they're gonna come in and get a check. We came up with a number that Ashby already does, it's a 10%. So you need to do 10% of the work. So let's say year 2, we lose a few members maybe, or there's a few members that are not active, that number dropped down. So our number was at 60,000. You know, potentially at year 3, we have more retiring. But then at year 4, we're seeing a climb, we're getting new members and we're getting activity. So it potentially needs to go up. So after that, the package is gonna be the complete totals for year 1 would be about 160, maybe down to 157, 148 and on up. And this would be just kind of a sliding scale. The amount for the truck fund would always stay the same with that 4% increase unless something dramatically happens where they're going up 50% due to like COVID or something like that. So this is kind of the sustainability package for us, but we felt pretty comfortable that would keep us in the game a little bit longer with our hybrid models of full-time and volunteer. We do have a new thing that's coming out with the state with that sprint paramedic model. But they told us that the money probably isn't gonna be there after the 2 years. We all kind of know that. Now, when you have a service and everybody gets used to it, nobody wants it to go away. So Lake Region is looking at innovative ways to potentially keep those paramedics still working with a community paramedic program where they're out trying to keep people out of hospitals, or paying it with some of their money that they're able to save from buying ambulances, and keep those people in the area being paid to supplement our smaller services that are volunteer, because we know during the daytime periods that it's really, really hard for us to get volunteers. So we're looking at different ways to do that blended model, but keep those people viable. So the sustainability package, it looks like it's a lot of money, but in my opinion, and a few of ours, it's not all that much. Remember, it's not just anybody, they have to be active. So let's say 10% of the calls, meetings and trainings, Lake Region does about 400 calls. We'll do 12 trainings, monthly trainings and 12 meetings. So that's about 43 events per se. And each event averages out to about 2 hours. So bare minimum, to be part of this pension plan, you'd have to do 86 hours, and that equals out to $17 an hour. And that's minimum. I look at these guys and they do that in about a week. So it's not a ton of money in our minds, but of course it's sticker shock. We all want EMS to become a designated essential service. We are, because when we call, like Maya said, when people call 911, we have to be there, but designating it means somebody has to come up with the money. We have some other things in the works that later we're gonna try to see if we can get the county to designate us as an essential service. So hopefully you guys, understand the need for some funding. And hopefully we can be at the front end of the movement versus the back end of the movement. Thank you guys for your time.
So Eric, I got a couple questions. Okay, so this Lake Region, you guys got 30 people on your ambulance roster, is that right?
Yeah.
So of those 30, they would have to get their 10%.
Right.
And how many does Ashby have, Spock, that aren't covered under the relief?
Our roster is probably 40-ish. But we have a para retirement program for both the EMTs who are on fire and those who are just EMTs. If they qualify by participating enough, they're in our para
Okay.
retirement.
How many up there are not in the para that are on the Ashby ambulance roster?
Like how many don't qualify participation wise?
Well, no.
So it's-
Do you have any that aren't firemen on that roster?
Yes. We have some that are EMTs only, who, because they participate enough, get in on our para.
Okay, I got
program.
you.
That's the way
There's-
our rules are.
So
set.
most everybody up there is
So
covered.
what they're doing is they're taking the non-firemen and they're supplementing with their funds. So the ambulance puts in money into their retirement. So the ambulance is again taking money out of their account for the people that are doing the work. So we figured, to be fair, is take the EMS professionals that are not fire department members, that are just the EMS side, and if they qualify, they would get it, and that's what, about 7 to 10 people maybe, that are non-fire department members,
Yeah.
maybe
Now, right
6.
now, there's
Yeah.
maybe 5 or
Okay.
6 at the moment.
So 5 right now, and I don't think, what is a couple of them make 10%?
Yeah, maybe, in a good year.
Yeah, so that would be probably 35 plus the 10 members down in Hoffman, that's what we came up with, a 45 number.
And it's critical timing, in my opinion, because you know something, when you're training and you're bringing these people in and they're coming up in the ranks, they love to have a veteran around that, you know what I mean? So they're actually, you guys are kind of, you know, brainstorming to figure out what you need to do, and it's a comfort zone for your younger members moving into it, right? Would you have to agree with that?
Coming through an EMT class, you learn the book things you need to know.
Right.
To pass the test, but there's so much more to it that you don't know when you get in the back of the truck. There's making radio reports, there's doing patient charting, there's knowing where and how to use equipment. It's just the very beginning. We just finished a class. We have some folks testing out now and joining us, but they have a ton to learn. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's critical for you guys, so, and it's a timing thing, because you're not getting any younger. So this recruitment, retainment is gonna be critical, I think.
Well, the number
Moving
one
forward.
issue you can see across the state and the nation is, when are we losing our volunteers? And that's anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and that's even professional EMS people.
Right.
Because of the poor pay. So if you start this little pension plan, they get through that honeymoon phase where they're like, oh man, this is fun, exciting, oh shit, this is a lot of work. And they're like, I'm out. Now you can say, oh, you've got $3,500 into a little retirement account. If you wait it out 10 years, now you can be vested and get something.
Yeah.
But then after 10 years, they're like, oh man, my life has kind of changed. My kids are grown. I may have a little bit more time to give back. And then you keep them for 20 years. That's kind of our goal, is to keep them through that 3 to 5 year of, I really don't have time for this, and get them to the 10-year, and then they'll hopefully go on to the 20 and the 30 and the 40 and the 50s.
Right. I agree.
So, you know, you guys know what my thoughts are, you know, I do believe we need a line item in our budget for EMS. And, Eric Key did say, you know, at the last meeting, well, you know, EMS has never gotten anything, and I did remind them that there's never been a real official ask either, right, Eric?
Right.
So the other ones up there, you know, they come in and they ask, but this is very important to the county. Now, I know we're gonna be the front runner here in the state if we do something here. But maybe it'll help get other counties thinking about this because, you know, Ashby not only serves Grant County, they serve a lot of Douglas and Otter Tail, as does Hoffman. And what I can see is that time goes by and they get on board, they're gonna start putting money into Ashby and Hoffman too, from outside of the county, which would probably relieve our,
Yes.
a little bit. That's how I see it, but we gotta start somewhere. And, you know, if they're not moving on this issue, they're gonna get caught one day with some things that aren't so good with human beings, you know, that need help. So the recommendation of the EMS committee is to make a motion to put EMS on a line item. And and I'm gonna make that motion today, but not put a dollar amount in there yet, because we got more work to do. Preliminary budgets come in like the 15th of September. We'd have to put something in there by then. And then we would have another 8 weeks or so to work on to set the budget. Because you can, you know, in a preliminary, you can set it higher and then whittle your way down. That's what we usually do. You know, set it a little higher and then we go through those line items and whittle her down so that we don't want a big percentage increase in the budget. We can't do that, but that's how that works. So, you know, with that being said, I'm gonna make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we do put EMS in a line item on our 2025 budget.
Okay,
With no dollar amount at this point.
right, we've got a motion and I'll second the motion. Any more discussion?
So I have two things. You know, you and I met earlier this year and
Yep.
everything is right where we talked about being.
Yep.
My first one is a concern more than anything is my understanding of, you know, we're basing this off the fire department's retirement is just to be clear, the county is not gonna be liable if there's lost investments for that retirement account.
No.
You know what I'm saying is that we're not, it's like the city guarantees your retirement amount per year for all your years of service. Just so we're clear, the county's not making that guarantee on anything. And then the second one is your budget, you know, between now and September, do you want $1,500 a year on projected? Or do you want to have $1,500 at the end of the year? You know, so at the end of the year, you come and say, okay, we had 42 that met it. You know, so an example is if you did it this year, we would budget that 42 with the 15 and you'd get it next year for this year's service. Or do you want at the beginning of the year to say, we're gonna project 40 and 15?
It's afterwards. So,
Okay.
right, we don't want you guys to have to put out any more money than you have to.
2025.
We'll go retroactive in August or whatever it might be. We'll all evaluate our numbers, say we have 35 members that met that 10%. We need the 1,500 per member, and then it can be adjusted into your budget for that coming year.
Okay.
That's the only way we could do it because, you know, it just wouldn't work out.
Well, right, because otherwise if you had 15 for X number and you wound up with more, it's less than.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
I got one other thing now, Mr. Chair. Okay, our committee is also working on a resolution and we gotta get it worded properly, but we think that Grand County should designate or have a resolution that EMS is an essential service. Even though, you know, it just says that we're in support of them. They are essential. And the state should have recognized that a long time ago. But anyway, that's what we're working on is that resolution. When we get it worded the way, you know, we'll let Justin look at it. Then we'll present it to the board and see what you guys think about that resolution. But it should be considered essential, not only in Grant County, but the whole state of Minnesota, because it is essential. And we gotta look into the future here and make sure that we keep it that way.
And we, as far as committee appointments, this is a reoccurring commitment, appointment that's gonna be happening every year.
Yeah.
And so the board chair sets those appointments. And that changes, from year to year to year, so we'll just keep it alive and well.
And not only do the EMS people come and go and get older, county commissioners do too.
Yeah.
So, and every, I've sat in front of many Grant County commissioners, they come and go. And, ideas and opinions come and go. So we just need to keep this up front and show how important it is, so.
That's the thought behind the resolution too, is that no matter who is on this committee or who is on your board, that resolution exists and keeps that, what we're putting together, keeps it in front of everyone. And
But there's a lot of work to do, we all know that, and, as time goes by and, other counties make decisions, because they're gonna be confront, or this is gonna be put in front of them. I know that. So,
And then that age package might decrease because Otter Tail is putting in the Ashby, Douglas is putting in the Hoffman, and that's the whole.
yeah,
That's the goal.
That Grant County doesn't have to subsidize the whole package because you do so much areas in Otter Tail and Douglas, and they should have to pay it as well. It shouldn't be just Grant County citizens, but.
And us commissioners, we can impress it upon those commissioners.
yeah, like in
At
September
some
now,
point.
you'll probably we're gonna ask, see if we can do a presentation at the conference in Arrowwood for the state. Eric, you can get up and do the spiel if they give us the agenda item. But they're gonna listen to you, especially the rural counties, because like, a lot of these rural counties, they don't know, some of those commissioners, they never heard of problems or anything sort that I've talked to some.
And when you spread cost over other counties and stuff like that, it cheapens up the cost and that the services stays that level of service, right? It doesn't diminish.
And in all my years, I've been in Grant County, which is quite a few now. I started 38 years ago, but there's a team there that you gotta have functioning for these people that get sick or hurt. And, the first call bunches out to the first responders, they're going. Ambulance and law enforcement, it's you gotta have that all working. And, cause I was on many scenes where I was glad that the first responders were there, or they were coming, and then the ambulance was coming. And I know that we did a lot of good over the years.
One other question I'm not sure on, that just to ask it is, when we talk about the retirement portion, are we talking about putting that into the budget so that you would have this year's service covered, or, cause that will affect that part of the budget, right? So let's be clear to the committee. I mean, if we're not willing to cover this year's service, we need to know that.
Well, I think it has to start in 25, right? And then-
Well, if we're paying for a years of service the next year, you
Yeah.
could still put in next year's budget, this year's service. I'm not saying yes or no,
Yeah,
I'm saying it's possible based on what we just talked about, that you could go back and cover from January 1 of 24.
if you guys want to, that'd be great, but.
So I mean, it becomes a budget decision of, do you do half into 25 and then the other half into 26? Or do you rip the Band-Aid off and put it in for next year?
That's cleaner.
I mean, I'm not sitting here today proposing either one. I'm asking so that we have to give the committee who's gonna come back to us with a budget proposal. I mean,
Let me see.
now having said I don't propose either one, I'm gonna say I would just rip the Band-Aid off and put it in there.
Rip away.
I mean,
Well, we'll meet, we'll get her figured out.
Yeah, we'll meet in the next weeks. And try to figure it out.
We thank you guys for your service, Jennifer, Gina, Mark, and all of you guys.
Do what we can.
All the responders. Community's grateful to you. But you guys have been so good that they just know you're coming.
Right.
Okay. So,
I just wanna make one quick comment. Thank you guys for what you said about when they're not there. Nobody really knows who you're calling. 3 weeks ago yesterday, I had a family member that got rushed to Fergus Falls, and you instantly think we were talking about Ringgold, you're backing up Ringgold. They ended up at Lake Region 3 weeks ago yesterday, and needed to get to Fargo ASAP. They needed to get to Sanford now. No ambulance. Ringgold wasn't around, or didn't have the staff. So they didn't come to helicopter. And without that service, I probably would have been missing potentially 2 of my family members. So it's true that you guys now are being relied on by the bigger entities, because I saw it firsthand 3 weeks ago.
So just
Personally.
on that same subject, Ringgold Fergus Falls has applied to the state to change their licensing from full-time ALS to part-time ALS, which will mean that they will not be required to have paramedics on duty 24/7. So we have depended on them in the past when we're going west for intercepts if we need a medic in the truck. And that option's not going to be as available. So just for everybody's knowledge, because some of this stuff doesn't really get out to the public. And not everybody in the public understands what that means.
We already subsidize, Elmore Ambulance subsidizes the city of Fergus Falls and the hospital, great. We do about 100 transfers out of Lake Region a year. That Ringgold can't cover, or there's, issues with. It's, our volunteers are ready to go, and we're very lucky because we have a bunch of dedicated people. What was it, Friday night or Saturday night? Saturday night, we took out 2 patients, that were critical, one to St. Cloud, one to Fargo, right away. And they used to have to wait for Fergus or Morris or Alec to come. Now, we're taking them and we're doing some of their business as well because of our dedication and our employees, how good they are. We're fortunate to have, but it's because of you guys as well that are backing up.
now Eric, now we got an ambulance coming, right? In 25.
Yeah,
Right.
25, yep.
Yeah, for Lake Region.
Yeah.
Okay, now, we were talking about Hoffman, their ambulance is 16 years old, Now, the money that the state dumped out there, that I think they gave Hoffman like 50,000. I think Ashby got like 90,000. But did we ever find out, can Hoffman take that 50,000 and designate that towards an ambulance and that counts? Because you're supposed to spend that money in 25.
Yeah,
Did we ever?
I'll reach out to Nicole Loomis with the MSRB to see if that's.
Because what we were thinking is, it takes 3 years to get an ambulance.
Mhm.
And theirs is 16 years old. And if they could put that 50,000 towards that and then order it, then, we can work with the city of Hoffman and see what we can do as far as getting that rig down there then.
Yeah, so like that's the beauty of it is right now, currently, we're all kind of at different stages. So Ashby's good for a few more years. How many years do you think you can go with your?
So 2020.
Yeah.
We'll get 15 years out of it.
So.
Our backup trucks.
For a truck, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 15 should be fine. We put about 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
So 150,000 on that truck in 15 years.
So then we could utilize, it doesn't mean that 20 goes to Ashby and 20 goes to that, it's fun, and 40 goes in there. And we have different times. Now Hoffman's their need is first. So Ashby doesn't need their 25 and then their 26 in this year and next year. So that's $50,000 going to Hoffman's truck as well as the 40,000 and the other 40,000 to make 80 going to the pot to purchase Hoffman's truck sooner than what we need, so it's the community and the committee will make those decisions. And prior to them purchasing and say, yes, we recommend that the money is allocated to Hoffman ambulance or Ashby or whoever that is that needs it. It's not just set in stone that it's just right this one stays there, so we'll be able to get, if this goes through, we'll be able to get Hoffman a new truck in the next couple of years.
Then we got like 3 minutes left, I think it looks like. But anyway, Ashby, maybe you give them a spiel spot on what Ashby's doing with their storage or their garage for their ambulance.
Yes, so we built our ambulance facility in 1994. And we've outgrown it, the trucks are getting bigger, so we decided to add on to a facility, we're adding an 18 feet longer by 42 wide, going from 3 narrow overhead doors to 2 wider ones, which we hope will minimize some of the damage that we create and allow us to have our trucks inside. Right now, we can't even bring a truck in the garage and pull the cot out to clean because it's not roofed. So this is gonna just make things way better for us. We're gonna have good floor heat and lots of modern upgrades. So we're spending some money to do that and it secure us for the future. We should be good to go.
That 90 gonna cover all those costs, probably?
No. But it's certainly gonna hurt.
Needs to start.
Yeah, so,
What is the official cost for that?
well, it's in the 200,000-ish range by the time we're done with that. Not going anywhere.
No,
Anybody got anything else? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Here, I'm driving. Oh, yeah. More out there than just. I think it has to. We talked a lot. I know you don't like that, but
It doesn't matter to me, because I'm not gonna be here forever either.
we just don't want the money to go into somebody else's account
that's
that's
right.
gonna potentially use
No,
it.
no,
It has to
we
be,
dedicate.
yes, don't we all, I just wanted,
And that's fine, I just wanted you guys to at least think about it, I didn't know you would.
yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about it.
No,
I
that's,
told them, that me and you talked, Chad.
but
I think it's the best decision that we keep it, so it's
if there's a
completely
dedicated,
allocated to the right thing and not.
I mean, we have,
Because leaders change, like you said, we have leaders change at every service, and all of a sudden they see $50,000 and they're like, oh, we're doing this, and that's what it is intended for.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous, in my opinion.
and a yearly report.
Yeah,
Coming.
Yep.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
we'll
So-
have everybody reporting and.
So Eric, if we can get you in front of that deal in September, you willing to do that?
Yeah.
You can bring the hitters with you.
Yeah, I think,
But we'll have to. go
I
on
think,
it.
I think Otter Tail and Grant County, or Otter Tail and Douglas, Stevens County's close as well. They're full-time, and they're a private company too, but I still think they're gonna probably get some aid there too as well. We had, after our big meeting here, 2 ambulance services called me directly and asked, why is Grant County ambulance so successful and everybody else is failing miserably? And it's just because we have people that are dedicated and we want to be progressive. They're not, they just don't want to change and they just don't want to put anything towards it. So, people are seeing in the communities, other communities, that we're starting to make a push, and that's gonna push that's gonna push Otter Tail. They're gonna have to make that decision.
Yep.
Else they won't.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Matt, Sled,
Oh,
Okay. Morning, commissioners.
Hey, how do you spell Scott's last name, you know?
It's on the handout.
Libby, Libby.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, no, that wasn't on there.
Libisfire? How do you spell
Libby's,
it?
Libby's, it's Libbe. I don't know.
Okay,
Here, I'll text it to you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's a
It's
common,
Libby, just put, I don't think
Okay.
anybody knows.
it's a common spelling.
Oh, really?
Supervisor.
Oh. Very new.
Kind of like Walmart.
Or you borrow.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. The first item I have today is engineering services agreement with
Widseth. As you recall, we applied for and received a LRIP grant from MinDOT for about $1.4 million to redo CASA 5 through Hoffman and up to 170th Street. And part of that project, there'll be a lot of coordination work that will have to happen with that project, since there will need to be some right-of-way acquisition with private property owners, as well as vacation and acquisition of right-of-way from the railroad as well to fix that skewer on that intersection there when they're crossing the railroad tracks. Now, the overall project was budgeted at about $2.6 million, and this agreement with Widseth would be for them to do the design and all the right-of-way acquisition and permitting. And essentially, they'd take care of everything and get everything ready to bid with the hope that it's gonna be bid in 2026 or 2027. I would assume it's probably gonna go to 2027 with all the work that has to happen in order to get us there. So, Brian Bide, who's the city engineer down there for Widseth, would be the person in charge of this project. That'll make a continuity of the project a little bit easier for everybody, so. Their agreement is for $241,760. It's pretty much right on what I was anticipating when I budgeted for the project, so I look for authorization for me or the county engineer to enter into this agreement with Widseth.
I'll entertain a motion to that effect to,
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
No second.
have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you. The next item I have is an engineering services agreement with Moore Engineering. And that would be for the design and construction of two culverts, one on CASA 54 and one on CASA 2. This was when I started here, this was a project that I was unaware of when I did my budget last year. And I went to a Boyd Sioux meeting here, I don't know, several months ago to hear about this project, and they were moving forward with the design of the project, and I kind of had to put the brakes on that a little bit, because since these are state aid highways that they're working on, any work they do must meet state aid rules and be approved by state aid in order for us to use our state aid funds for the project. So is what I asked them to do is pull the two culverts out for ditch 3 that were crossing the CASA routes and put this agreement together so we can meet all of our requirements that we need to in order to expend our CASA dollars on these projects. So I believe Nick Anderson would be the engineer that will be working on these projects. And the amount they quoted is $46,300. That's on the top end of it. We were discussing with the DNR what the impacts are gonna be. Didn't really get a good answer, so the overall cost will probably be less than this. But there's some unknowns in there yet.
So that's for both culverts.
That would be for both culverts. CASA 54 and CASA 2. The plan right now is to upsize the culvert on that crosses CASA 54. And remove that culvert and bring it over to CASA 2 since it's not very old, and reuse it on CASA 2.
And so the one on 54 is down towards the other end.
Yep, just south of this bank.
Yeah.
Yep. So that culvert will be moved, so we're gonna save some cost by reusing it since it's actually only like 10 years old, so it should be in pretty good shape yet. So I'd just be looking for authorization from the board to enter into this agreement with Moore Engineering.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chair, I got a couple questions before we actually vote on this. So these billable hour rates aren't gonna change in the 25 or anything like that? I mean, is there any talk on that? As far as their hourly rates? Yes. Yeah, typically the hourly rates change every single year, right? And we'll get a new updated schedule each year from each consultant. So this is more just an estimate, maybe. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried.
the last item I have is another engineering service agreement. This one is with MSA Professional Services to do our yearly bridge inspections. In 2024, we have, I believe it was 14 that are required to be inspected. This is MSA is the one that's been doing it for the past several years. And the cost is pretty much identical, less a little bit of an inflation cost to it. So this is something that I believe Aaron went through training for bridge inspection, so he'll be tagging along with these people to get that experience as well. So I'll just be looking for approval for this agreement with MSA in the amount of $11,180. I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair, because we have to. Yeah. For every year. Yep.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
So we had Aaron go through training, and this like his on the job training part then, and hopefully in the future he'll be able to do this.
That is the goal, that he's gonna get the experience to be the lead inspector and take this over.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Those are all the things I did have for you today. One item that you should probably be aware of is, several months ago, the county surveyor applied for a grant for remonumentation for roughly, it's like between $250,000 and $300,000. And I believe you saw a bill come through today. We did receive that grant. So, if you do see people working up in the Pelican Lake and Pond de Terre Township area, working on intersections, searching for monuments, that's what it is. We did receive the grant to do the remonumentation. So,
Like I told you, Matt, I seen them doing that like last week maybe, or a week before.
yeah, they wanted to go out yesterday and start digging into the pavement. We kind of had to say no. One, it's too wet out. Number two, there wasn't a batch plant in the area right now running, so getting mixed would be difficult. So we'll work in the gravel until we can, get asphalt and look for the corners at the intersections. And beyond that, we'll just have some projects getting advertised here coming up. Be re-advertising County Road 34 project down there by the park here. We'll be sending the ad for bid in here this week. And in 2 weeks, the plan is to submit the ad, start advertising for Stony Brook Township Culvert and Trunk Highway 55 project. So we'll get those going too. That's all I have for you guys today.
And County Road 82 got nice up there by Ashby.
Yeah,
The mile and
They did a really good job on the paving.
Yeah.
Need a little work on the striping.
Yeah. And the striping there, GPS must have been off a little worse.
Something was off.
It's just a one deal.
Yeah, it's just the last 100 feet or so.
They got a
We'll
little,
take a look at.
it looked like they probably came off of the county line.
Yeah, it doesn't look so bad right now because Otter Tail County seal coated
Yeah.
82 heading north from there, so there's no striping whatsoever.
But it's gonna not look too good. when-
Yeah,
What do they do with that? Just sandblast it off or something? Or-
yep, they can sandblast it off or just grind it off,
Yeah,
reshoot it.
but the people are, they're appreciative of the road, so.
It was in bad shape.
Yeah.
All right.
I got one other question, Matt. Okay, the pipe in Stony Brook that you're gonna order, is that what you said?
We're gonna advertise the project.
Right.
Yep.
Advertise it. Has the town board been communicating with you on that at all?
I did speak with them before I came here and I believe we're gonna have a conference call maybe tomorrow afternoon with them to answer some more questions that they have.
Okay. I just seen on my phone that one of the board members called me, so I don't know what that's about.
Probably that.
Yeah. So. Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your work.
Right on time.
An email from Cecilia, who will be here for the University of Minnesota. Yeah. And she said she was running a little bit late. 10:45. Good.
We'll just hang out.
Some would. Yeah, is Madison doing good now?
Mm-hmm.
And the child good too?
Yep. Archie.
Yeah. What was the name?
Archie.
Good.
Archie Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little hairy. Huh?
Yeah.
Earlier when, the recorder and the filter were here, you had said, you made a comment about $45,000 in revenue. Do you remember that comment? Can you tell me, can you explain what you were saying a little bit better?
Tony's Providing Technology is the software company that Grant and I believe 23 other counties own. It provides a number of services like your tax software that so the CAMA that the assessor's office uses, the computer aided mass appraisal, that's run through CPT. That's their software. When your tax statement goes out, that comes out of their software. Highway uses it, they have a HR program. So back in 2017 or 18, Grant County went in with these other counties, bought it from a private individual. So that is just, we paid $175,000 then. Up to right now, we've had 75,000 of that returned, and this will be another 45,000. So it's just, you know, it's a business, it's making money, so it's just being returned to the owners.
Got it. So this, the immutable drives that you were talking about, what's the cost comparison between what the county was paying for before versus this difference in technology?
Oh, I don't know, you know, so they said what 2018 was the last time we bought, or when we bought that drive. I don't know what the maintenance fee would have been.
It was about 30,000.
It was 30, the server was.
But the server was about 30,000. But it did not back up the entire case. Where it's just being under the scan. Certain things in the recorder's office, the assessor's office, and no, the environmental services.
They said that was what, 8
It was a lot
terabytes?
Smaller.
8 terabytes, and the current one is 32, can go up to 100.
So this is gonna do a backup for everybody's, all the rest of our servers that we have.
Right.
Other offices have servers, the sheriff's department has standalone servers, but we're gonna get into it. Okay, it's a $130,000 insurance policy for that, so it's 6 years.
Well, and
And told them, I said, if you're buying insurance.
And the 13 of that is your first year's maintenance, which will be an ongoing. There was maintenance on the old one. I don't remember what that number is.
And you guys aren't buying it outright, right? And you're buying a service.
Oh, we're buying a server.
You're buying.
No, there'll be a hardware that shows up.
Okay. And, but you own the hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wasn't sure if it was a
No,
contract to lease it out or something.
no.
Is this, were you in with extension on this
I wasn't,
contract?
I wasn't at the meeting yet the other day.
Okay, so then you say, if this is the same thing as always, and it's a 4% increase a year or 5%, do we really need to wait? I mean, we're gonna approve it anyway, right?
I think she's coming here.
Oh, she's coming in person. Oh,
believe so.
I thought we were waiting for her to get on, okay.
No, I see she's on Zoom. But I'm presuming that she said I will be there at 1:45, so. I don't know, I believe she was driving.
At 10:45.
Or 10:45, I'm sorry. No, not, let's do that one.
So you've got it set for that meeting on Friday, right? Special meeting?
I'll have to verify that right now and have to make sure the rules, I don't know.
But yeah, it looks like the price is a 3% increase a year if it's, I mean, if she's coming here in person, that's one thing.
I'm on my. Well, I'm on my second one. We got redistricts, so I had to do it. But yeah, I'm on my 8th year.
Your 8th year. And, okay, so then. How big was your district last time? Before the redistricting?
I had 7 townships, now I got 8.
That's just in case you didn't have enough on your plate already.
So now I got half the county instead of.
Yeah.
Whatever. They do that by population.
Yeah, it's a lot of corn, a lot of cows.
Yep, it's available, so.
What's available?
I wanna make sure this meeting room is available on Friday.
Oh. Yeah. Was, Tina's resignation, was that, has there been talk about that earlier that I just wasn't aware of? Did I miss that? That feels very sudden. Tina, that just felt really sudden. I wasn't sure if that had been talked about before.
Don't rush in, you're fine.
lady. Yeah, you can help yourself.
I have 3 board meetings today, so
Don't worry about it. We're easy to get.
We're
along with.
amendable.
appreciate it.
It's not moving very fast either.
Oh, it's one of them days. Compliment day in the calendar.
Cecilia, we can get started.
Thank you so much for your patience with me this morning. I had 3 board meetings this morning. As you can tell, it makes it a little hard to try and get to all of them on time. Yeah, so I appreciate your time. Cecilia Amadou, I serve as a regional director with the University of Minnesota Extension. And I have a privilege of standing in front of you today, so thank you for your time, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The item that we'll be discussing this morning is the current contract that we have with Grant County between the University of Minnesota to deliver youth development program in the county. That contract is set to sunset the end of this year, and we will be looking to renegotiate that contract again for the next 3 years. And I think 2 of your commissioners were AMC and have heard a little bit about what this contract is, but I want to just elaborate again. This is a universal language within the contract across the state. So all 87 counties are being asked to renegotiate the same language. So language within the contract necessarily doesn't change because AMC has already negotiated that on your behalf. But however, depending on how big or small the county is, counties can decide to buy into the contract how much they want. In your county, we're really hoping to keep the current investment that we do have at 1 FTE with an intern support or a coordinator in the summertime. The contract time period is 3 years, like I stated, with options for changes after the first year. Currently, we have about 141 FTE across the state that fit into this contract. Previously in 2018, we had 121 FTE. So counties are buying more into the service and increasing the opportunities that we have to implement youth program and also agriculture related program as well. Currently, counties contribute to about 19 million of our annual budget. And so we appreciate the relationship that we do have with counties, but we also have some grants. And also, obviously, Adine does a good job doing some grants and income in the area. In that area, we have about 26% of that make up that budget. And that's used for various different ways for research, so that when we deliver program in counties, we know that they're research-based and we're providing program that is well thought out. We also get some federal funds. Grant County doesn't necessarily benefit right now from that grant funding. And it really helps families that are on SNAP, which is the food program. We have program available for people to tap into. They usually go into the schools and help kids understand how to eat better and how to get outside and exercise, so that, and then also helping them learn how to grocery shop so that their budget goes a little bit further for them. Right now, we don't have somebody in this position in your county, but that's a program that counties don't typically pay for. It's really based on income, and then they deliver the program. So I wanted to just share a little bit about that. But obviously, we still have regional staff that are available to provide services in the area of economic development. Sometimes there's a small fee for that, but if counties have simple questions, we can always direct them to that resource as well. We also do have our website. Last year, there were about 9 million views on our website, just people looking for all kinds of different things. So Extension is a well thought out resource in communities. So what's in the contract? We as a university, when we accept grant, the money from Grant County, we are agreeing to hire staff, train them, provide them with the leadership opportunity they need to deliver programs in communities. We're also agreeing to pay for mileage, and this is a change from previously with our contract we had to put additional money in the contract to pay for mileage. This contract will cover all of that, so all the traveling that they'll be doing in the county will all be bought into this contract that we'll be talking about. We are also agreeing to do the oversight, so before somebody can identify themselves as extension staff or connected to extension in a certain way, there's extensive background that we have to make sure that people working with youth are able to work with youth, and that comes with a lot of risk management. So we take ownership in that. We're also obviously taking ownership in payroll, accounting services, and then reimbursement for that as well. In return, counties are agreeing to provide the space that the staff will need to do their job in the county, equipment that we need, computers, copiers, internet, phones, just the basic things that somebody need in an office in order to operate. In this county, we don't have support staff, but the recommendation is that if counties do have somebody that can float around and provide that support to that person so that they don't spend time doing administrative work and really can dedicate the time working on the program. It's only a recommendation. I'm just sharing that if something like that is available, we'll take. I know this conversation about office move coming here, so I think that will really help visibility as well, with people really knowing that we're here and we're here to support youth in that way. So something that is also very clearly identified in the contract is the County Extension Committee, which Commissioner LaValle and Commissioner Pierce sit on that committee. And that committee really is a reason why I can come here and tell you what we need. They make all the recommendation as far as how much staffing and how much money we need to run that office. In the past, that committee had also had a role in evaluating staff. And we have taken that away from evaluating staff because county extension commissioners were not the ones that are supervising staff. So it was really hard to tell how to take directions from that and implement it. What we have done is county extension committees being able to really speak to the program of what they want to see in the community. However, they still have ability to speak to us in a way if staff isn't performing at a different way. We just had an issue at the county fair and we were able to address that right away. We don't want that sitting till December to address those issues. So as things come up, we want to be able to address them as they happen and not wait too long to December. So that's why there's a change there. We also have had issues in the past hiring intern positions. And so we've changed the language from intern to temp casual. In the case that in a small county like Grant County, if we can't get an intern, we can get somebody else who can serve as a coordinator position so that we can kind of keep the programming going in the summertime. So that's all some changes that's been made. And you may be curious what the price is. So right now you are paying $80,000 for the one FTE in Grant County. That is going to $100,000 for one FTE. And then the intern rate is $22.56 per hour. And that is subject to 3% increase after 2025. So 2026, 2027 will be a flat 3% increase across the board. So I think I will stop here and see if anybody has got questions about the contract.
Would you like to talk about kind of what some of the activities here?
Yeah, so we recently just have a great educator in the position. She hasn't even been in her position a year, and she's done some great work increasing numbers in Grant County. This year at the fair, she had about 87 animal exhibits, and then 982 general exhibits, which is huge for Grant County, that amount of exhibits shown. And then with 51 at the county fair. So she's also talking about what she's looking forward to doing, how to build the program. Obviously, not having, I think the summer intern that she had this year is great and he's doing a very good job. So that really implemented into what summer programming, they were able to do. They had 13 youth involved in the Science Day Camp, which was all run by the summer intern. And then this fall, they have a lot of 2 to 5 sessions with the WCA North and South. County Fair really well. I think they have some kids going to State Fair as well with some of their livestock. And she is planning on being at the State Fair so that the youth can have access to somebody that they trust and can ask questions, which is huge. We don't require our staff to do that. That's something that she's choosing to do. So I just really want to say you have a great staff in Grant County, and obviously we want to retain her. She's doing a pretty good job. And right now she has about 70 kids enrolled in the program. That doesn't include some of the after-school program kids that haven't necessarily made the choice to join 4-H fully yet. So by the time we add those kids, I mean, she's gonna be reaching a lot of the youth here in Grant County. So any questions for me right now?
So is that, we're going from 80 to $100,000, is that moving, we were at 80% full-time, is that moving to full-time?
We did move full-time, I think, a couple years ago. Last year, before we hired, we moved to full-time because we had that contract with Travis County. So we were able to absorb that money to then move that position to a full-time position.
Okay, so it is a full-time.
Yeah, it's a full-time position.
So in 22 and 23, that was part-time positions, the 61,000 and the 62.
Yeah, it was 80%.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't get anybody to apply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the tough part. We
So,
needed.
so then in 24, that 80,000, that went to a full-time.
Yes.
Okay.
You're done, you want to pass that down to Doyle and Detroit, let them look over. That's the budget.
The budget,
Come
okay,
on,
yep.
Committees, you got copies of them?
Yes,
Okay, so-
I have one copy.
Okay, well,
We're good.
I didn't know what you were bringing, and I thought maybe you were zooming, and so.
I tried to Zoom because I was like, I wasn't sure if I would make it, and then I couldn't hear, so I'm just like, I was driving.
Okay.
So yeah,
But
they,
she's doing a good job, she's supercharged, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean, she's an outgoing person
Yeah.
that really gives kids a comfort zone,
Yeah.
and, you know, I think she does a great job.
yeah, we had a conversation just last week at our county extension committee meeting about how youth are sorting her out, coming to her office and visiting with her, which is huge because if they have built that trust with her within that period of time, that's somebody that kids can go to and share things with. And she was talking about, if you tell me something that's not safe, you know, I will have to tell your mom. And so, you know, that relationship is huge when you're in this position. So,
And just to touch on what, you know, she got the kids involved, and they did a lot of the planting on Main
Yes,
Street. And,
yes.
you know, I mean, it isn't just, you know, the fair and, you know, it's
No.
showing animals, things like that. It's getting people and getting kids and getting parents, you know, and getting people involved
yeah,
is what it is.
yes.
And I think it performs well, and I think Grant County is lucky to have her, to tell you the truth, because she is outgoing enough to where she gives people a comfort zone and get them out of their eggshell
Mm-hmm.
and get them working and interacting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They are very drawn to her. So if there are no questions, I would like to just say part of the reason for the increase is also really looking at staff salary, and making sure that we are competitive, quote unquote. I mean, obviously the private sectors in this type of positions are paying a lot more, but we want to try and let our staff know that we appreciate them. So as part of the increase, we are conducting a wage study as well, so that we can bump their pays up a little bit.
So you were saying the mileage is in on that also? right?
Mileage, insurance benefit, training opportunities, all of that is all one price. So as you can see, last time we had $9,000 in our budget under agent committee travel. That has gone away to 1,500. I don't even think we need that because most of our committees don't request for travel that much. So it's just there is if we need, but we will need that because that's all embedded in the 100,000. And then that is also including our intern as well. The intern's mileage is also part of the price that we've charged for that intern line.
So the interns, that's not into that 100,000, was it?
No, that's right on top,
Okay.
at 9,000, and that will cover it. So we will just do per how many hours, will fit about 400 hours, depending on if it's a coordinator, they get paid a little bit more because they're an adult and can do more. And if they're an intern, they get paid a little bit less because they're in a learning environment.
You know, once she moves to the courthouse at $300 a month, we don't have to dish out for.
Yes.
The city, that'll drop that line item.
Yeah, if you probably, I mean, Chad probably has some expenditures that he can share, but we've returned money to the county every year. We've been really good steward of the money that we get and make sure that we don't go over. Emily and I are constant conversation about office supply and making sure that the things that she's buying is truly what she needs and not just spending the money because it's there. And we keep an eye on that. So we know that besides the staffing amount, some of these office operating, probably when we move here, some of the furnitures will already be here, so we don't need to buy that. The only thing that she will need this year, next year is a new computer to operate. But that's about the biggest tag that we see right now. And then obviously during the summertime, there's a lot more printing for the fair. And those are the time that we see a lot more spending. But other than that, we've been pretty good steward of the money. And we tell our staff that we want to be good steward of the funds that we receive from counties. If there are no more questions, I would ask that the board would approve 2025-2027 contract with the proposed budget, 2025 budget in front of you.
So you're looking for an MOA, excuse me, and a budget.
Yes.
So,
You can
Mr.
do them
Chair,
separately.
what would you wanted, so we split that up? Do the MOA.
We probably should.
What it all together.
What's all one document, isn't it?
It is,
Well, we can do it.
just ask. Okay. I will make that motion, Mr. Chair. To accept the University of Minnesota Extension 2025 MOA and budget.
And what total is,
126.
445. 126,445.
okay. Have a motion, give a second,
I'll second it.
any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, you made the drive worth it.
Cecilia, I will have the board and the county attorney sign this, and I will return it.
Perfect, thank you, and then I'll send your copy back.
Okay.
I see it now.
So the board's aware, Justin did review, our county attorney, did review this beforehand. And
Yes.
No problem.
Perfect. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep.
Thank
Take
you.
care now.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
During the meeting at 11 o'clock.
Friday at 9.
Yep.
I'm gonna see how many times I get stung between now and